Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, dramatic prophecies in the entire book of Jeremiah. It's this incredible vision of judgment that starts in one specific place, but then spreads like a shockwave across the entire ancient world. And it all revolves around one single, unforgettable image. So, right at the very beginning, the prophet Jeremiah gets this stark command directly from God. He's told to take a cup. But let's be clear, this isn't any ordinary cup of wine. This is a symbolic vessel, and what's inside it is about to completely upend the course of history for dozens of kingdoms. So, what exactly is this cup of fury? Well, think of it as a powerful metaphor. It represents God's judgment, which has been building up over decades and decades of injustice and rebellion. And now it's become unavoidable. The bill has come due. But what's really fascinating here is that the judgment is described as something measured and intentional, like you'd carefully pour a specific amount into a cup. This isn't just random, chaotic rage. And this is where we see the symbol connect to the brutal reality on the ground. The prophecy says the nations will drink from this cup and go mad because of the sword that I will send among them. You see the connection? The cup is the divine verdict, the why, but the sword, that's the literal, historical how. It's the warfare, the invasions, and the total military collapse that's coming for them, mostly delivered by the rising empire of Babylon. Now, you might expect a prophecy blasting all the nations to start with some big, bad foreign enemy. But Jeremiah 25 kicks off in the most shocking place you can imagine, at home with God's own people. And this sets up a really powerful principle right from the get-go. Accountability starts with those who are supposed to know better. So the very first nation forced to drink from this cup is Jerusalem. And the prophecy lays out this four-part ruin. It's not just about the city being physically destroyed, that's desolation. It's also about complete public humiliation, astonishment from everyone who sees the wreckage, hissing or basically mocking contempt from their enemies, and finally becoming a curse, a cautionary tale that people will tell for generations. And listen, this wasn't just some vague poetic threat. This prophecy became brutally real in the year 586 BC. That's when Nebuchadnezzar's Babylonian army marched in, sacked Jerusalem, burned the great Temple of Solomon to the ground, and dragged its people off into exile. The first bitter drink had been taken. Okay, so after Jerusalem, the cup begins its grim tour of the nations. And what we see is this massive domino effect of judgment tipping over kingdom after kingdom across the entire region. And who's next on the list? The regional superpower, Egypt. Now you have to remember, for years, the kings of Judah had been looking to Egypt as their ace in the hole, their powerful ally who would save them from Babylon. But the prophecy makes it crystal clear. Egypt won't be a savior. It's just the next victim in line. And history shows us exactly how this played out. At the decisive Battle of Carchemish in 605 BC, the Babylonian army absolutely crushed the Egyptians, effectively shattering their influence in the region for good. Just as the prophecy said, Egypt's turn to drink had come. From there, the list just starts rolling. It rapidly expands to all of Judah's next-door neighbors, the Philistine cities along the coast, and the kingdoms of Edom, Moab, and Ammon to the east. The message could not be clearer. Being close to the action offers you zero protection. Every single regional player is on this list. And the scope just keeps getting wider. It includes the incredibly wealthy seafaring cities of Tyre and Sidon. In fact, Nebuchadnezzar would later lay siege to Tyre for 13 years. The list even stretches to faraway Arabian trading kingdoms. The point being driven home is that your wealth can't buy you an escape, and you can't run far enough to hide. So after this long, incredibly thorough list of kingdoms from all across the known world, the prophecy ends with one final, very strange and cryptic name. It's a real mystery, but it holds the key to understanding this entire chapter. And the king of Sheshach shall drink after them. So the obvious question is, who is Sheshach? I mean, you can look at any map of the ancient world you want. You will not find a kingdom with that name. Is it some forgotten place? Nope, it's actually a code. To crack this, we need to know about something called the Atbash cipher. It was a simple substitution code that ancient Hebrew scribes used. It's pretty straightforward. You swap the first letter of the alphabet, Aleph, for the last letter, Tav. Then you swap the second letter, Bet, for the second to last, Shin. You just work your way from the outside in. So what happens when we apply that cipher to the name Sheshach? Well, the Hebrew letters for Sheshach, that's Shin, Shin, Kaf, they transform into Bet, Bet, Lamed. And what word does that spell? Babel, as in Babylon.
In a stunning plot twist, the very last king to drink from the cup of fury is the king of Babylon itself, the same empire that was used as the instrument of judgment on everyone else. And, just like every other piece of this prophecy, it came true. In 539 BC, the seemingly invincible city of Babylon, the superpower of its day, fell pretty much overnight to Cyrus the Great of Persia. The empire that forced the world to drink from the cup had to drink the very same cup itself. But the prophecy doesn't quite end there. It zooms out one last time to give us a final, sweeping, and honestly terrifying vision of what this universal judgment looks and sounds like. And it uses two incredibly vivid images. First, God is described as a roaring lion, a symbol of just awesome, overwhelming, and terrifying power. And second, as a grape treader, shouting as he crushes grapes in a wine press, an image of methodical, relentless, and totally complete justice. The passage even uses courtroom language. It says God has a controversy with the nations. Now, that's legal talk. It frames this entire global event not as some random act of destruction, but as a legal verdict being executed. It's all about universal accountability. And the final image it leaves us with is, well, it's just incredibly stark. It describes a world so overwhelmed by this judgment that the most basic rituals of human society, mourning the dead, gathering their bodies, giving them a proper burial, all of that has completely collapsed. It's a picture of total societal breakdown, from one end of the earth to the other. So, this entire prophecy, from the first drink in Jerusalem to the last in Babylon, reveals this profound principle. The instrument of judgment is never immune from that same judgment. And it forces us to ask a timeless question about power and accountability. What happens when the tool of justice becomes just as corrupt as those it was sent to judge?